First of all, can I have your reaction to what looks on its face like pretty startling news in that the guy who was managing these systems is out, and Doge and Elon Musk's whole organization is now in after trying to get access to the system for a long time now?
This clip is a wild one. Apparently, Elon Musk's team has been trying to gain access to certain financial systems for a while now, and suddenly, boom, they got it. And the way that it's being framed, it's some sinister plot, a catastrophic takeover. Tyler, Brian Cohen, and his guests are in full meltdown mode over this, acting like Musk is about to personally funnel taxpayer dollars into Dogecoin. So without spoiling anything, let's just get into this clip where, of course, I'll be giving you my unfiltered take.
I mean, it's shocking. I mean, I don't shock easily, and even I am shocked by this at a couple of levels. The first is, this guy who has now retired and resigned, he was the acting Treasury Secretary just a few days ago. I mean, this is a guy who knows how to make sure the Treasury Department runs. And the Treasury Department is one of the most important agencies and departments in the world. It not only oversees the payment process, but it oversees literally, a lot of how the U.S. economy winds up working. And so just the fact that a guy with that much experience, who's that senior, who has been around the Treasury Department all these years, for him to suddenly resign tells you something really bad is happening, number one. But number two, there are only a couple of reasons why someone from Doge would want access to the U.S. payment system. One is that they're trying to cut off the flow of funds to certain programs. Now, that is important because remember, the Trump White House, through OMB and then through a tweet from the press secretary, has tried a series of ways to suggest that that Donald Trump can control whether or not funds are distributed or not distributed to various federal programs or through grants or through loans. And that is a power explicitly reserved in the U.S. Constitution for Congress. So having been frustrated with their effort to block this through OMB, one wonders if they're now trying to find another way to block it through the actual mechanism of funds moving out the door.
And honestly, this is where it does get kind of scary. If Musk's people couldn't get control through the front door, they're sneaking it through the back. And ask yourself, why would they be so desperate to gain access in the first place? What are they trying to change? Because let's be real, Musk isn't doing this out of the kindness of his heart. He's a billionaire who only cares about billionaires, and the fact that this wasn't openly debated or thoroughly investigated is definitely alarming.
Of course, the only other possibility is that why you would want to control the payment process is not to stop funds from going out, but you would want to direct where the funds go out.
Right.
And, you can only imagine what kind of trouble could be done there.
I mean, I want to dig into that part a little bit of it, because we already know that the Trump administration is especially interested in blocking payments to recipients that they don't want to fund anymore. They've already tried to do it to programs like Medicaid, to Meals on Wheels, a lot of these programs that the poor, who the Elon Musks of the world and the Donald Trumps of the world don't care about, rely on to survive. But if you have other recipients, we'll just say, who might want funds from the federal government, but the oversight, all of the controls are other Trump lackeys, then what bulwark is there to prevent from abuse happening?
Yeah, we tend to focus on this, as we should, about what does this mean for the poor? What does this mean for people who are the most needy? What does it mean for the billionaires?
Right.
And the large multinational corporations that have either bowed down or not bowed down, right? What does it say if you are a major defense contractor? What does it say if you are a major contractor to the federal government that provides, say cloud computing services, right? Or space services? What does it mean that now the spigot for how money can go out or how money cannot go out is now under a control of political actors rather than, people who are upholding their oath of office or federal law.
Bingo. The second this kind of power falls into the hands of political actors, especially billionaires with open agendas, you lose accountability. Because here's the thing, Musk doesn't care about democracy. He's proven that over and over. He controls the flow of information on social media, boosts his own interests, and now he wants a hand in how government money moves? I mean, that's terrifying.
So that is terrifying because, that is the carrot. That is the stick portion of the program, not just the carrot portion of it. And then, of course, there is just the possibility that funds are just distributed in ways that defy common sense and that might benefit his Donald Trump's political supporters. Will funds flow, for example, to certain types of cryptocurrency, certain meme coins, for example? I don't know if there's one you could think of. Maybe what we need is a Brian Cohen coin.
Yeah, I think that's next up on my plate. I need a shit coin, basically. That's what I should be looking for.
Well, it seems to be very much in fashion.
I know it is. It's in vogue. I'll tell you what. If all I have to do is pivot to the right, and I can start selling coins, and that's really all it takes at this point. Mark, in terms of recourse, what is the bulwark if the federal government, if the executive branch, if the folks at the Treasury aren't willing to provide any adequate or requisite oversight? Do we then look to the courts? Like, what happens when all of the police basically become bought and sold by the very people who are content to abuse the system? And
we already know what happens. They protect the powerful. It's almost something out of Batman or returning the USA into Gotham. Look at how Musk dodges lawsuits. Look at how billionaires buy influence, silence critiques, and rewrite rules to benefit themselves. Now imagine that with federal money at stake. This isn't speculation. It's the billionaire playbook. And unless people wake up, these guys are going to keep pushing the boundaries until they're completely above the law.
Look, we've spoken at length about how Donald Trump is trying to root out career civil servants from the government. He's trying to get them to resign. He's sending out these mass emails. He's promising them buyouts, which may or may not happen. I don't think there's any avenue for the government to be able to pay 12 months in advance. But these are the folks who would largely make up the population of whistleblowers, for example, if there was abuse. These are folks who wouldn't be willing to just allow a criminal president and his criminal accomplices to just run roughshod over these departments. And so if those people are gone, then who becomes the person responsible for oversight here?
Well, so sadly, in our system of checks and balances, the check on the executive branch misusing appropriated funds is Congress, because it's Congress that has the greatest interest in seeing that their appropriations are followed. I mean, after all, it is literally in the Constitution. The House of Representatives has a privileged place in the Constitution about appropriated funds. And normally, the Senate appropriators, the House appropriators, on a bipartisan basis, the one thing that they guard more than anything else is their prerogative to appropriate funds and to ensure that the funds that they appropriate are sent out and the funds that they don't appropriate are not sent out. But I got to tell you, Brian, we're not seeing any sign of life from the Republicans in Congress as a check.
Yeah. I mean, if the goal here is to hope that Mike Johnson and the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world are going to serve as a bulwark to Trump's worst excesses, then I think we're in a pretty grim position moving forward. At this point, we would have to hope that either there's going to be some remaining officials who are willing to speak out and not just completely bend the knee to Donald Trump, which, if he gets his way, those people won't exist, or that someone in Congress is willing to actually speak out against the worst abuses by their own party, which, again, also doesn't seem likely given the way the incentive structure for the GOP today.
Right. And so, look, the courts are an ultimate backstop here because ultimately people who don't get the funds that they're entitled to can sue the federal government and then go to court. But I want to be clear, I try to point out the places where I think the courts can be really a frontline actor to halt Donald Trump's worst impulses. And I think it's important that we recognize when the courts do that and celebrate them when they do that. This one's trickier because the fact is you will need a a recipient of federal funds who, number one, is willing to blow the whistle. So far, we have not seen a lot of courage from corporate America or government contractors or from Republican state governors. So sure, you have the Democratic AGs and the Democratic governors, and they can do this. But the second is the courts are not meant to police the day-to-day distribution of funds from the federal government. The oversight of that is done by Congress. That's why we talk about congressional oversight of the executive branch. And like I said, usually if there is one aspect of the federal government that is subject to more rigorous day-to-day oversight, it is the appropriations process. And so this is a terrifying development because they may have found, Trump may have found the weak spot in the federal government where Congress won't do oversight. The courts will, but where it is very clunky and not efficient.
Not only that, Musk just walked right through that same weak spot. Except instead of making a big show of it like Trump, he's doing it in plain sight and nobody's stopping him. This is the problem. I mean, Congress is asleep at the wheel. They're too distracted by partisan infighting, too weak to stand up to billionaires, and too beholden to corporate interests to actually do their jobs. And of course, Musk knows that. He studies the system, he finds the gaps, and he exploits them perfectly. This honestly isn't about Trump anymore. This is about the long-term rot inside the government. Trump might have kicked the door open, but Musk is walking in, sitting down, and making himself comfortable. And Congress, they're just letting it happen. And if, or rather maybe when, Congress does act, it's almost always a little too late. By the time they even consider looking into Musk's government influence, he'll have already solidified his control. That's just how it always works. So ask yourself, if Congress won't step in to stop billionaires from taking over government systems, who will? I honestly don't know.
And then you are left, as you say, with the career civil servants and hoping that they can stand up against the powerful in the way in which the legacy media is backing down, the way in which corporate America is backing down, the billionaire oligarchs are backing down. And I should add, to that, you said whistleblowers. Where do whistleblowers go? Whistleblowers usually either go to Congress
or the inspectors general.
The inspectors general, which have been fired, or they go to the media.
Yeah.
And, tell me if you're a career civil servant and you're
can't go to the LA Times. You can't go to the Washington Post.
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do?
I mean, to be honest, if anything, they're just getting started. The media isn't holding billionaires accountable anymore. It's protecting them. Sure, you'll see the occasional headline about Musk's missteps, but where's the real investigative reporting? Where's the deep dive into how billionaires are gaming the system? Where's the pressure on Congress to actually do something? It's not there because the media, just like Congress, is compromised because billionaires own the media. You think CNN, MSNBC, or the New York Times are going to really go after Musk when they rely on billionaire funding and corporate advertising? You think the biggest media outlets, which are owned by the same corporate interests that benefit from Musk's influence, are going to bite the hand that feeds them? Not a chance. I mean, this is only the beginning, and today it's government financial systems, tomorrow, who knows? If people don't wake up now and realize what's happening, by the time we realize what's happening, it'll already be too late. Of course, that's just my unfiltered take. As always, I would love to hear what you guys think. Do you guys think this is as crazy as I do, or do you completely disagree? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe. And of course, we'll see you guys in the next one.